Aloha everyone, I'm Geologist Philip Ong, here with Mr. Dane DuPont of HawaiiTracker.com. We are just starting up a breaking coverage of Kīlauea's new summit eruption that began today, Wednesday, September 29th. About an hour, maybe an hour ago, sometime between an hour and a half and half an hour ago, somewhere in that range right there. What's happened is we've had a sequence of earthquakes that has ramped up today, starting at 2:30 p.m., and those earthquakes have led directly to an eruption at the summit. You can see here the latest webcam from the KW camera of lava within the pit of Hale Ma'u. It seems like it's broken through the crusted lava lake, and it's now erupting over top, resurfacing the surface of that lava lake right now. That's what we have going on right now. So we will update you guys with what we have as it comes into our studio here. Dane is going to be manning our chats, so make sure you drop any information you have that you have for us that we haven't shown to him. We can get it on the screen here. Also, let us know if we have issues with our audio or video or whatever else is going on as well. All right, Dane, anything you want to add at this point? I know we're just getting started. We're all over the place. Yeah, great. So this is what we got going on here. The alert just came through. I want to say a little less than an hour ago. We had the first sign of I suppose advancement of the progress of the process here. After the bunch of earthquakes started peaking, there were a couple of threes that came in not quite an hour ago that were fairly shallow. And as soon as that happened, we saw the USGS put out an alert increase from we had been at yellow advisory, and now we are at the orange and watch, right? Or I'm sorry, then we went to orange watch, and since then, within the last 15 minutes or so, we're now up to red warning. I should revise that. So things are changing fast here. Okay, let's see. I did have some configurations here, so let's see. Oh yeah, okay. I think I know what I forgot to do. So apologies there. No one can hear Dane. That's why we're doing this. It's a little bit last minute here. Okay. Try again, Dane.
Test.
All right, I think you're coming through now. All right, so
that works for them. All right, let me know in chat if you can hear me now. We'll continue the broadcast as if it works.
All right, so yeah, so this is our KW camera here. Let's see if I can maybe come into this a little more for you guys. And this is our typical view where our west vent is actually over here. And you can see that there is apparently, it looks like fissures or lava emission points where it's not crusted over that are over here in this northern part. There's one in between this west vent area and that big island, and then quite a bit of activity on the backside of the island as well, so we can't really see it all from this KW camera angle right there. It's interesting to me. I haven't let's see if I can go through to the webcam and see an animation of this here, and we may have some loading times as we're bringing this to you guys live today, but nope, that is not what I wanted. Okay, you're gonna see me struggle with the USGS website perhaps today. Here's what I'm looking for. Comes up. Am I going to get a 24-hour animation? Yeah, there it is. All right, so here's our 24-hour animation, and it's still loading. It's going to come through the night there, and we'll see what pops up here on our newest frames here. We can see beforehand, there's our west vent, right? Oh, no, it's not really giving us. It hasn't loaded all the way, apparently. It's not giving us the frames that I want with the lava in it.
I don't think, that it's running very well for anybody right now.
Yeah, okay, so it looks like that perhaps because it hasn't been quite long enough, that automatic image hasn't yet updated there. So what we'll have to do is we'll go for different angles, right? But one thing you can see that's apparent from zooming in here is there's a little bit of a color change right here, right? So you see a little bit of this darker colored stuff right here, right? That's a little suspicious that didn't seem like it was there before. And it's right next to this west vent area. So, you would suspect or wonder if there was some of the shallower lava that was cooled and was degassed, was pushed out and kind of flushed out of that vent first thing, kind of clearing the pipes, before what appears to be, this doesn't appear to be just old lava that from underneath the crust coming up. You see quite a lot of gas. So there's likely been an injection of fresher magma into that area, and it's coming through the lake, and certainly it's mixing with the other stuff. But the gas is giving it away that there's actually fresh magma coming up here. And everything is within this pit of Halemaumau, so I should state often and early that there is no threat to humans right now. Everything is within a national park. I imagine there will be lots of people flocking to the park tonight to see the glow. Should be some very good glow tonight in the national park. And we're starting from a base level that's quite a bit higher than we were last year in December 2020. So depending what happens here, the lava possibly could come up to where it is visible, I imagine, is what people are thinking as well. So that is that's that current view there. It looks like this lighter color gray may be that fresher lava that's coating a lot of that crater floor. So it seems like it's covered a lot of the old stuff. You really don't see any of that terracing that used to be here anymore. Hard to see through the film on this side. I'll have to wait to see what's over there. But it seems like it's going around this big island, and we'll get the back view to see how it's covering from the backside. Dan, you got something you want to add?
No, it's just looking through some of the photos and seeing what's changing in there.
All right.
I'm looking at basically everybody has the same images right now because this eruption is taking place inside the Halemaumau crater, which is shielded because of the steep angle from anywhere on the ground that the public has access to. So it's not like we're going to be getting, cell phone footage unless somebody's taking up a helicopter right now, to fly over and see it, which probably some guys are. So we'll be looking for those guys on social media, any new posts like that. But otherwise, it's very hard to get photos out of this. All we have is the webcams from USGS.
Yeah. So and we've looked at these for a long time. This is now the B1 camera, I believe. B1 camera right here. So this is looking from the east back towards the west. The west vent would be back over here. That one from the last eruption. The island, that big island, is somewhere right in here. It's obscured by all this fume. You can't really see it that much. So you can see there's actually, it looks like a decent fountain line of fountains right here on the back side of that big island, right, which is interesting right there. You can see that all this light colored stuff is all fresh lava. So fresh lava has covered most of that crater floor already within very, very short order. You see these small islets here. Those are the previous high spots from the previous topography on that frozen crust of lava lake. And you see a little bit of, we had that perched edge that was raised on the, right here, right, on this back side, on this eastern side especially. You can see here that it's breached over top of that, and it's flowing down this channel against the crater wall here, and here, but it's left, at the time of this photograph, this little lip. And so we may end up seeing this thing drown and disappear as well over time. And that's what we really have to look as markers, is this lip, and then these different islets. I remember they were somewhere in a range of 20 or 40 feet tall, based on USGS Geological reports back post-eruption 2020. So as we see this entire area filling with lava, and we start to see some of these features disappear, we'll have some idea of the depth of the lava in that area as well. That's mostly what I'm seeing here. Looking, let's see, from this angle, I'll have to compare an older picture here, but I thought that that north vent, that original north vent, was somewhere more in an area back over here. So right now, this big knob is looking a little unusual to me right here. Not sure where that came from. The only thing before that seemed to have that kind of height was this big island over here. And so, purely speculatively, I wonder if that is a piece of that got rifted over and moved across, and that's something we could expect to happen as well. Is that some of that big island is made of a pile of lighter cinders from the original fountains of the 2020 eruption. So that material is less dense, and it's loose. It's not necessarily very well compacted. It can be in places, but nothing that a stream of lava couldn't move, for example. So that's a possibility as well. We have nothing confirmed for sure now, only that the lava is all confined within the crater of Halemaumau. and there is no activity elsewhere that I have heard of so far. But maybe we would do well to change our tabs here and check the earthquake map. So let's go to the HVO webpage to start. Perhaps. And now we're seeing the red warning on the webpage updated, although it looks orange now. It went from yellow to orange and now to red. You can see the red on the map here. And there's the couple of alerts from the USGS here. So we'll look at these here shortly, but I want to come through here to the earthquakes. All right, this may be a struggle as well, but let's try to take off our instruments. Let's see if we can. So right now we're colored by depth. And let's get it in here and see if I can get this legend off the screen. Probably not. I may have to move from this web page, but let's see what we can find on it here for now. Right now, as you see, there's this cluster around the summit of Kīlauea. There has been activity in the Upper East Rift. A lot of that was ongoing yesterday and in the last few days, in fact. We'll show you guys earthquake counts here shortly, but that may have been our early sign that the volcano was repressurized and it was ready to change again, right? And as we've discussed recently, that change can happen without a huge amount of ramp up. It doesn't have to have a huge amount of earthquakes. We did have some, but the volcano has been pressurized. Magma was still coming in, and so it's no surprise that it's popped itself out here again, right? Technically speaking, this is a new eruption of Kīlauea. It's been how long has it been since our deadline was August 20th, right? So we missed it by a month. It's about I guess 4 months since the last lava visible in that area. Let's see if I dare try to get an earthquake plot going here.
We also have some footage I sent you. Ken Boyer's up there and is on as close as you can get, basically. Again, you can't see the fountains from anywhere, but you can see the SO2 and the VOG coming out of the eruptive vents.
Right. Okay, so here's our time depth plot for the earthquake. So you can see that here, this is the series of earthquakes that's coming up. This is the surface of the ground right around here. So you can essentially see that movement of magma that was down, I'm going to zoom it out here, around a kilometer or half mile beneath sea level, about a mile underground or so, and it's come up towards the surface right in there. And see, not a whole lot of activity before. We did have a little bit of ramp up, but really it was only compared to the quiet before then, right? So we can look at earthquake rates perhaps as well. Let me come find the earthquake rates. Oh, no. Earthquake rates the past year is not going to tell us as much, but you can see here we had a little bit of a spike coming up following our intrusion, and that follows the last lava visible in May, right around in here. And so activity had come from that background during eruption. It was pretty low, had come back up, peaked with the intrusion, was coming back down a little bit, and it just come up a little bit. So really not a whole lot of warning with earthquakes there. If we come back one iteration, let's see if this is, I think it is. Oh, year past month. Refresh it. You can see just scrolling off the page here of August 30th, 30 days ago, was the last earthquakes of that eruption, of that intrusion, I'm sorry, which went above 120 earthquakes per day. So it's been fairly low since then, picked back up a few days ago, reaching around 120 again, and you can see today we're not all the way up, but we'll probably end up somewhere over here because there's no reason to keep having earthquakes. The ground is already cracked open, lava's coming out. So we're not expected to have a whole bunch more earthquakes. It's going to essentially be less earthquakes than we had a few days ago and less earthquakes than the intrusion. In the end, this is how it appears, at least what we see as a first phase of this renewed eruption here at the summit. So get back to here. And let's see if I can manipulate.
Sorry, it's got a lot of going on over here too, trying to get more information on it.
Yeah, so let me, I'm just trying to get the video you sent here. You guys for bearing with us today. It's give you guys what we can, and rather than prep everything off the air and bring you guys something a little more polished, we thought we'd come to you guys live today and just share with you as we gather what's coming in. So here is the movie. Let's see if I can pull this up. Dane, do you know if Ken is up there streaming or anything?
Yeah, he is. No, he's not streaming right now though, but will send us stuff. There's not much to really see, he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
All you can see is that the plume, and he's also mentioning that the park might be shorthanded right now in terms of staffing.
Mm-hmm.
So they're kind of not overly excited about this, apparently, some of the rangers.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of just, logistics and all that kind of stuff that gets pushed on it.
Oh, come on, you're a ranger at Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. The volcano is erupting. Yeah, and I'm sure that's just overblown there, because this is what they prepare for. There's planning and everything that happens, and the tourists come, and of course, I know we have COVID going on still and all that, but they've been practicing for a while, so we're thankful, of course, that they're allowing everyone to go up there. And there's the biggest hazard right now is not the lava towards anyone; it's more the gases that are up there and around. So you can see from this video that Ken Boyer sent us that he's panning across the caldera here, and you can see that most of the gas is blowing away. This is off to the southwest towards the Kau Desert. Over the Kau Desert, there's no population imminently in that direction. It does go towards Pahala and Naalehu and Kau area, eventually Ocean View. So that would be where the gases would likely head. So we could potentially check on air quality as well.
I wonder if those have had enough time to get new samples.
Yeah, so let's see here. I'm going to have to turn to my own index page here, and let's go to my gas and air quality.
Nothing on purple air right now. Yet, at least.
And okay, the manual measurements. Now our ambient measurements are not really showing anything really that much either, which is interesting. So that's interesting, because nothing on the air quality measures from the state. Look at the park monitors here.
Yeah, everything looks like it hasn't updated yet. 315, they're saying, though, that they are updated, so I think they have a little bit of issue with their...
The park monitors are all green. I mean, I think we got to face the possibility that there's really not a whole lot of gas coming out, to be honest.
Maybe.
It's not popping up anywhere, right? So perhaps there was just a pocket of that hotter stuff on the inside that's remobilized, that's popped up, right? That's the possibility as well. If you
what depth were all of our earthquakes at?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. I know the earthquakes were further down, right? But it could just pop the pimple that's at the surface, so to speak, rather than actually flushing its way all the way through. And it's unknown at this point. We're just talking possibilities.
Yeah.
But seeing no sign of the gas anywhere is interesting, right? Because even the gas that's collected in there, even if it was just like the popping the blister, so to speak, you should still see some of this gas. Perhaps it's a matter of the monitors, right? We saw the gas blowing to the southwest. I think most of these stations are east over there. It's not true for the ambient.
Yeah, they and some of the stuff is a ways. But what about the Hawaii Volcanoes National Park ones?
That's what we're just looking at.
Oh, yeah.
I've got everything all together here. Yeah, so it's not really showing up yet. So we'll wait and see what comes of the gas here, but there's really not a whole lot there right now. I wonder if we have any updates from our cameras here. Give it a refresh. The S1 camera, the west vent would be over on this side over here. That island over here. So that line of taller fissure seems to be right in here. It seems like there's a little bit of a flow going this way, and you can see some gas outbursts here and here as well. And so interesting to see what's going on there. Unlike the first reactivation of Halemaumau back in December, we saw lava come through the wall of the crater back then, right? It was fissuring through the wall of the crater, and it actually came through the floor this time, right? So that certainly does bring up that complexity of, maybe it is just the lava that was cooled underneath that crust. I'm sorry, that was a still liquid underneath that crust. The crust over top of it cooled, and the lava cooled a little bit as well, but still retaining a lot of that heat. And perhaps if you deform the bottom of it, or if you build a big enough bubble of gas that you disrupt it, it can rise and break the surface. So that's one possibility as well. Of course, once that whole lava lake gets moving and turning and churning, depending on what's coming into it, you can start having convection, and you can have lots of gas emission points on the surface of a whole lake, just from the convection patterns as well. So it's fairly complicated. We're just, really don't have a lot to go on right now, but you can see here
that some of the latest thermal footage shows that the bottom of the previous lava lake is now covered with fresh lava. We got still fountains going as well.
Let's scroll it down here. And the view from Uekahuna, and it looks something like that. You'd see the edge of the cliff here and the gas coming up, and that'll be glowing tonight in a couple hours here. Wider view, here's our thermal camera. All right, so let's try to go through the thermal camera and let's see if it has possibly captured any of this sequence here. No, it's not quite updated enough, so we're gonna have to wait for
I think they update it once a day, that one.
No, because that's not, well, maybe the case now, but in the past it would add a frame for every hour. And it would do so within a half an hour of that hour passing or so. But I suppose what we can do is compare this previous crater floor here, right? There's that island. You can see all this bumpiness all through here. You can see the terracing kind of rough crack features. You can see those little bumps back here, the little islets, all this stuff, right? And if I scroll up here, you'll see that none of that is visible anymore, right? We do see the west vent here, cone seemingly being a peninsula as lava's coming up and around it. Excuse me. All right, so that's the view of the lava lake right there. And you can see it's covering quite a lot of ground. We can make sure we cover let's make sure we come across to the tilt signals. Here's our past week monitoring data for Kīlauea. Our lava lake depth may be interesting to monitor. So let's see if that has anything new. It's not
what that ends up doing.
It's great to know that it's still there and running, right? And we just have to wait for the data to actually update. So nothing visible there quite yet. Here's a last week of earthquakes. You can see really a lot more of that upper East Rift / East Rift connector activity, whereas there's no activity there now. It's really all focused back around here. And there's our earthquake counts for the week. And here's our tilt record, right? So the tilt record is actually showing us a big offset here. So our scale is the first thing we're going to look at. -4 to +14. That's 18 microradians. Each stripe is 2 microradians here. You can see our general inflation curve we've had over the past week or so coming up. And then normally when we see these big, sharp vertical lines, that often means like an earthquake spike, so it could be that the thing actually jumped up. But during an earthquake, what happens is that line, that blue line, goes up and it comes back down to where it was and it resumes where it was before. What you can see here is that it didn't do that. It actually jumped up and then it was up here displaced, right? So it could have been that that earthquake maybe cracked that surface of the lava lake, would be one possibility, you know, something like that. It displaced upwards and it did not come back. It's working its way back towards there now. But now we have our typical, you know, we have a pattern that may just be the deflation of gas or what have you, right? So now it's gotten more complicated as well. Interesting to note that that's picked up on the tilt meter, a little bit different signal than we've seen before, but there it is right there. So that's the past week here, and we've covered the tilt, we've covered the GPS, we've covered the earthquakes. We've done the GPS. Let me come to make sure we get the GPS here. This might be the last month here. Coming up, information. Oh, that's not the GPS. This one's got the GPS. All right, so slightly more refreshed here. You can see it's coming down a bit. 2-day plot. Doesn't really show hardly at all in our 1-month plot. So our GPS is here. This is our cross caldera distance. And you can see that it was spreading apart before the intrusion, and we had some intrusion wiggles, adjustments in there. But since the intrusion's over, what you can notice, and we've been pointing this out, is that this rate of increase is actually faster, it's steeper than previously. And hard to really see here, but zooming in, you can see these last 2 points are starting to separate. There's a little bit more white in between them than these previous areas over here. So it's starting to, you know, it went from being steep already to apparently in the last 2 days it got even steeper. Hard to tell with 2 points and very few pixels there. But that was the thing that made me yesterday say, it's looking a little suspicious there, but no earthquakes. The tilt's not really showing anything unusual, so maybe we'll just have to wait and see what happens. So there is no dead giveaway in advance of this, apart from the fact that we knew that the volcano was pressurized still and there's a lot of weaknesses. And if there's any evidence needed to how weak the volcano is, and it's just how easily it erupted at the summit right now, rather than going anywhere else. The summit's always traditionally the weakest point of the volcano and where it erupts the most easily. All right, so Dane, having gone through most of this stuff here, you know, I'm tempted to sign us off, and we can come back on if there's more breaking information at some point later. But I think our message that the volcano is erupting, that it's in a national park and it's not threatening people, is what I really want to convey most urgently. What have you got to add?
Yeah, it's really hard to get anything right now. If we do come back online, we will have, you know, more stuff to be able to share with you. Right now, it's so fresh and still kind of seeing what we got going, that it might be best idea to come back on. It's not like you can send out somebody and really, you know, just take footage of the eruption happening. The best you'll be able to do is see the glow in probably, 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, about that, yeah.
And then it's something might be worth looking at, but until then, it's just smoke rising from a hole in the ground.
Yeah. And as we capture these images and start to animate them, we'll start to see some changes occurring as well, and we'll have more to say as far as what's progressing, right? So right now we see the lava is all within that crater, and there could be further phases, right? We saw with the intrusion, there were 2 different pulses. There could be a second pulse. It depends exactly what the trigger was, if it was magma coming up from below, if it was an earthquake cracking that crust, the lid of that cauldron that was already there, or exactly what came to be here, right? That's the real question.
There is one question that I saw in chat that was somewhat interesting to me. It said, basically, why take it up from orange to red on this one? Is it just over precaution? Is it kind of standard operating procedure? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, first I should say I'm not part of the USGS. I'm not privy to the decision-making process. I have no idea. That's the real answer, right? But I can talk about what would go into the decision-making process for us, right? And part of it is one that the aviation code is tied to it. So if there's any chance that there could be any kind of fountaining event or something like that, you're gonna make sure that you clear the aircraft from the area to make sure you don't have aircraft falling from the sky. That's kind of the first thing. And kind of wrapping into that, it's so early, we don't know what's going to happen next or what's going on right now to the full extent, right? As soon as we saw the first alerts come up, I'm sure that USGS geologists are deployed to the field. They're probably all there in a room right now taking videos and pictures, and just like they did before. Or if not, they're driving to get there shortly, right? They're all on their way, and I'm sure they're on 24-hour alert now. So we will start getting more media, and as we get it, we can share it with you guys and help you with questions and analysis and all that. And so if we have any more questions, we certainly can discuss them now as well. I can maybe take a minute to see if there's anything I see as well.
Right. We do have a bunch of new people joining us, so we appreciate you guys, checking us out. We do this broadcast regularly on Thursdays, where we cover the latest changes on the Kīlauea volcano, as well as Mauna Loa, and any other geologic events that take place on Hawaii Island. That we focus on Hawaii Island specifically. So if you like this type of content, consider giving it a like and subscribe. And we will be continuing to cover this as more information comes in, and we're able to figure out a little bit more.
Yeah, right. So yeah, since a lot of people are just joining us now, it's been 30 minutes since we first went. We'll basically maybe start from the top again and just go through real quickly what we have, and that is that the Kīlauea volcano is erupting again at its summit within Halemaumau crater. The eruption, we don't have an exact timeline that it began. I'm going to estimate around 3:15, 3:30 or so, somewhere right in there. We got the original first alert of the earthquake and tilt spike. It was around 3:09, 3:12 or so, right? And so I imagine that shortly afterwards, within the next 15 minutes, lava probably reached the surface to the point where now...
3:20.
You're saying 3:20?
Yeah, that's what I saw.
All right, so good. Yeah. So
right in there.
It's only within the pit of Halemaumau within the national park. It is not near any people. It's not expected to go near any people. It's going to likely stay up there and just fill that hole. So it's essentially become a tourist attraction. Even though you can't see it directly, the glow of it is there. It's not something that is near any communities or anything like that. Here's some alternate views looking from the Kīlauea camera. I'm sorry, I just look at this and I'm taken aback because what I see that is shocking to me is that this island looks like it's maybe moving a little bit. I'm not sure. It looks like it's slightly, or maybe the perspective is all distorted because of the changes here, right? So here's our original west vent. All this other stuff is fresh lava all around here. We originally had some cracks open on this side of this big island, and on the back side as well. It seems like the ones on this front side are no longer active. I can see through the fume here. It actually looks like there's a piece of this fissure against a crater wall here on the south side, right over there. Yeah. And I think that's the strongest line was right through there. So we've been discussing whether we can what we might learn from this. It's hard to really tell because with lava coming up through the crust of the lava lake, it could be the lava that was already in there that was all crusted over. This is kind of on the edge, so it's still borderline. It could be from down there. If you saw a crack actually crossing the other rock, you'd say, okay, that's new magma from below, for sure. And right now it's a little bit ambiguous. It could be magma from below that came underneath this thing and is pushing the other older stuff up, and or lending its gas. It's just not clear at this point in time. We'll get more from the USGS as time goes on. But the main point is that it's not going to affect people. It's all essentially as a curiosity. We're bringing this information to you guys so you know that there's no threat to people right now. We'll monitor this as it progresses to make sure that there is not a further phase that comes towards populations, right? But that's not expected. The way to think of it is that the relief valve is open now, and it's going to relieve everything it can for as long as it can now into this crater. So that's always what we want, because that's the best place for the lava to go is within a summit in that big pit away from people. The biggest hazard is likely to be the gas. There could be some little bits of tephra, like Pele's hairs, little particles, and of course, the gases of the VOG itself react with sunlight and create particles as well, right? As most of Europe is discovering now with the La Palma eruption, the Canaries now has an ocean entry, and Vog blowing over the Vog and Lays, blowing over the mainland of Europe now. So no ocean entry here, not quite the same thing, just the Vog, but still, as it flies through the air, reacts with particles and can give you that hazy fog appearance, which is where the fog term comes from. So yeah, that's the that view from the west. This here is the view from the east. So that big island is back over here within all this fume, and here we see a better view of the line of fountains. Right, let's see if I can see that one on the edge. Can't quite see it in this. Maybe I need to reload it because it looks like there's a pit here. It's fuming, but I don't see lava coming out of it in this frame. Maybe if I reload it, it'll show me something different. And nope. Anyways, it seems like there's some kind of line of fountains right through here. The tallest ones seeming to be these two southern ones here and here. Right? One thing that was interesting that we noted was these other islets were originally reported to be perhaps in the range of 20 or 40 feet tall, something like that, based on USGS reports. And so as we see the lava filling that, covering that old crust, we can somewhat gauge visually the depth of the lava there. There's this one piece over here, which is much taller than everything else and seems out of place. And this, I am curious if was a piece of this bigger island that perhaps got rifted apart and carried away, right? So this is essentially a big pile of cinder from the fountains of lava that occurred December 20th, 2020. That's what we have going on here. So that's the view of Kīlauea right now. That's from the east. And there's another view from the south here, and you really see mostly the fume. And, that island would have been in here, and the line of fountains. The biggest two fountains would be here and here, right in there, and the line kind of going off this way. It's a little bit curved, obviously, right? You see a bit of bubbling there, and there as well. And so interesting to think about whether there may be mobilization of more of that lava underneath this crust, and wondering how much circulation might be happening in there as well. And we'll have to wait for the development of the eruption to get at to some of those questions there. Dana, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I'm just trying to check over things one last time. Definitely some interesting questions out there. Really, it's going to come down to, just watching for a little while to see what comes next, right? To see if we're just going to stay in the caldera or if there's another phase to this thing. But as of right now, it's, strictly inside the Halemaumau crater. So no lava visible, and we'll be able to see the glow later tonight. If we get anything new, we will go live again. Just kind of repeating a little bit of the stuff we covered earlier.
Yeah, I think for sure we can come back, even if it's short. We wanted to essentially announce the news to you guys first and show you what there is to see, and show you where it is and the threat that it's not posing to anyone, most of all. And now we can dig into more of the science and the progression of the eruption as time goes on and all of that as well, right? As more information comes out, as we get more, as USGS activates, right? The USGS was fantastic during the 2020 eruption, releasing pictures and videos and that kind of thing. So we hope for more of the same. And as they release more content, we can make sure that it gets passed along to you guys as well. I did see one comment about whether this Kīlauea eruption is tied to anywhere else, right? We have heard about the eruption in the Canaries and elsewhere, and my answer is a resounding absolutely not. Nothing to do with it. We've been talking about Kīlauea totally independently of everything else for, God, how long has it been, Dane? Years and years and years and years and years and years and years.
How far do you want to
go? It's got
back?
nothing to do with
start counting.
Yeah. So we have it's not that we're closed-minded about it necessarily. We have talked about how there are hair triggers, and when you get to a hair trigger phase, a hair trigger, something can hair trigger it, like the tide, or something like that, right? And we've even said that was the situation we were in prior to the intrusion about a month and a half ago, right? So it's not that. It's just that this follows the intrusion, which follows another eruption, which follows the eruption, which follows the inflation. Which there's a whole chain of events that doesn't relate. It's just, you could say, okay, the actual timing maybe it happened on Wednesday instead of Tuesday or Thursday because of this fine hair trigger, whether it's the tide or whatever else. Okay, maybe that's the range we're talking about, but it's not going to actually cause it to happen versus not causing it to happen. Like, that's not what we're talking about. You might be refining it happened at 2 p.m. instead of 3 p.m. Because of some other factor or another. But the fact that it was coming, it's all to do with the volcano itself. I can't emphasize that enough. And that's why we watch the volcano, and we watch Hawaii for the signs of what happens next. And we don't watch Mauna Loa for what's going to happen at Kīlauea. We don't watch Oahu for what's going to happen at Kīlauea, and we certainly don't watch anywhere else. Apart from, of course, empathizing with Canary's residents, as we see hundreds of houses get destroyed by lava, as is very familiar to us, as happened in 2018 in Lower Puna. So, of course, we're watching and sending our thoughts to those guys. But apart from that humanitarian aspect, there's no science, there's no physical connection between these volcanoes.
Yep, definitely. We are always open to hearing more, but there needs to, for large claims, there's a large burden of proof, and just some correlation isn't going to cut it.
Yeah, I mean, it's there were times where there was lava lake crusted over, and whether it's in Halema'uma'u or in Manaulu or Ta'ale and other places, where people just throw a rock in, and just a rock breaks the crust of the lava lake, and that induces a full-fledged going on, right? So, throwing a rock in could be the hair trigger that actually sets it off, but the rock didn't prime it to be ready to actually go. It just set it off, right? And so, as far as what anything can set it off, right? It could be a rock fall, an earthquake, or what have you. But there's no physical connection of magma between these places, right? That's just something to make sure that we cover early and often. And once again, I want to make sure I mention no threat to people. No threat to the lower East Rift Zone. Lava is not going back to the lower East Rift Zone. There's no sign of that. More likely it stays at the summit because it's found an outlet. That's our short-term expectation.
Right. It was kind of our expectation for it to return to the summit as well.
Yeah.
From the previous eruption. It likes to return to the summit. That's one thing it really enjoys. So, we will be continuing monitoring any changes that develop, and try and get some recording of these images written up, some code, and run that. We'll hopefully be back with some more information.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. I'm just trying to refresh her, make sure we don't have at least one animation that's worth it.
Yeah.
But if not, that's all right. I'm still looking at the backside of this little guy over here. It still looks abnormal, right? And this image, the thermal image, you're really not seeing any of these islets anymore. They're all disappeared underneath. I need to change my color, don't I?
Right. Looks like only 2 images of inside the crater are updated to 6:30 or 16:30. Sorry. So 15 minutes ago, 13 minutes ago. The rest are
so
kind of outdated already.
All those islets back there are missing, right? And we have this piece, I suspect, came from the island over here, right? So now looking at this thermal image, you can see a much hotter spot right there at this, very near the center of the lake, in fact, right? Just to the east of the north edge of this big island. And so it seems likely the fissure came through that big island across the crater floor and then rafted a piece of that big island over to the northeast there. That's the most exciting thing that's happened so far, besides the lava coming out into the crater. And we'll see. I mean, we have one tracker of movement now. We'll probably see other things emerge as well. The earlier images we saw some brighter spots here in the foreground as well. So there originally were some possibly earlier fissures or gas outlet points over here as well. So that's something to keep an eye on as well.
All right. Yeah. And if you want to, we are posting also on hawaiitracker.com. So if you like a text version of an update, we have the latest from HVO posted up there, as well as some of the images from the inside the crater looking at the eruption in the early stages. Some of the first photos get posted about it. So check that out. That's hawaiitracker.com.
Yep. Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, and we will be coming back to you guys. We will. Yeah, that Hawaii Tracker website has an email newsletter as well. So if you want to make sure not to miss anything, you can. If there's something that's especially newsworthy, we'll make sure we send out the emails as well for that. So yeah, check that out, and we'll be back with you guys. I'm not sure exactly when, but
yeah,
we'll say at the latest it'll be tomorrow. We'll gather everything together and bring you guys a full update at that point. If not sooner, to show you what else is going on. And like we've said, we'll post the images and the videos in short format on our website and our other channels as well.
Definitely.
So for
well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, for HawaiiTracker.com, he's Dane DuPont. I'm Philip Ong. Aloha, everyone.